I'm makeshift filming in a hotel room today, so apologies if the lighting is a little bit weird. I don't have my lights with me. But anyway, Kodak Gold, that's what we're talking about today. So Kodak Gold 200 in 120 format. It was released a few months back now, which is a crazy indicator on how quickly time is going, because you know, it feels like it should be the beginning of summer, not the end. But yeah, so it was released back in spring. Kodak re-released their 120 version of Kodak Gold 200, which previously was only available in 35mm since they discontinued the 120 version back in the 90s. So when it was first released, obviously the internet was flooded with reactions to the news, you know, a new colour film stock released by Kodak. This, you know, this is great news for the film community, especially in a time where a lot of film has been discontinued and, you know, film prices are just getting higher and higher, and it's becoming, you know, quite difficult to be a film photographer if you look at it from maybe a financial viewpoint. But yeah, so Kodak Gold was released and everyone went out to line Kodak's pockets, including myself. And if you guys have followed this channel for a little while, then you'll know that, you know, back in spring when it was released, I did a couple of videos testing the film stock, one in particular focusing on portraits in natural light, and then another where I took 3 rolls on holiday with me to a Greek island. Now that I've had a few months to really get to grips with the film stock, try it out in a few different scenarios, including with strobes and in natural light indoors, as well as, you know, street photography, travel photography, what do I actually think of the film stock? So firstly, one thing to note about Kodak Gold is that the colours and the skin tones are really rendered, you know, very accurately. Kodak do this quite well. You know, Kodak Portra is kind of renowned for its skin tones and being able to capture skin tones quite accurately. And I think, you know, Kodak Gold isn't an exception to that rule. The skin tones, regardless of kind of skin tones that you're working with, do tend to render quite well on this film stock, and colours do tend to be a little bit, you know, more accurate than other film stocks that I've tried. In particular, I'm thinking of Lomography's Colour Negative series, which you know, you guys will know that I love Lomo's film. But in particular, what I noticed was things like the greens were more accurate in Kodak Gold and definitely more pleasing to the eye. I think in terms of colours generally, the way I would place it, if you're kind of familiar with other film stocks, would be it's more vibrant than Kodak Portra, and it's more accurate in colour than Lomography's Colour Negative. So it's kind of like, it sits in between those two stocks for me. So obviously it's a 200 speed film, quite a low speed film, and this, you know, has its limitations, especially in, you know, British summertime. You know, it's summertime right now, there's not a lot of light in this room, for sure. And I thought I would have more problems with it being a 200 speed. It's not really a speed I shoot often. So I did try it out pushing it to 400 and it pushed beautifully. You know, you can't even tell it's been pushed. Colours are still really accurate. I would definitely not hesitate to push this in the future. One thing I do want to try is pushing it a little bit further, you know, maybe to 800 and further, and seeing how it fares. But yeah, pushing it to 400 you can do really comfortably and it looks great. One of the benefits of it being a low speed film is that it's really great for studio work, you know, when you're using strobes and maybe you don't need a really high ISO film. And that's exactly what I did. I have used it a few times now in the studio with strobes. And again, it's a really natural film. The colours always render beautifully. I did notice that in some studio shots, there is a little bit of a, you know, a greener, browner cast to the shadows, but I think, you know, that's just a style thing of the film stock, and I actually really like it, and it's definitely not something that I think is an issue or a problem with the film stock, just something I kind of noted. One of the things I love about it as well is, you know, the being ISO 200, that's a great kind of versatile speed when it comes to, you know, you might want to shoot half of the roll in the studio and then the other half outdoors, and that's not really a problem. If you were shooting on like a really high speed film, then you can't do both of those things in the same way, or if you're shooting on a really low speed film, you might struggle to shoot outdoors with natural light. So yeah, it's a great versatile film speed to be able to use indoors and outdoors and not have to kind of push or pull. You just kind of shoot it at box speed. In terms of the exposure latitude for this film, I tend to overexpose my film by stop. I'd rather overexpose it than underexpose it. So that's just kind of where my head's at with film. And it always kind of works out really well, even if the film is a little bit overexposed. And again, on the other hand, where, maybe shadows are a little bit underexposed in some scenarios, it still looks really good. When it comes to street photography and travel photography, again, it's, quite a neutral film stock. It's not something like Cinestill or something like maybe like Lomography's Purple or something like that, in the sense, or Metropolis, in the sense that it has a really distinct colour cast. It does look quite natural, which I really enjoy about it. You can use it in all scenarios and it renders quite close to reality, which is nice to know. But yeah, I've genuinely really enjoyed shooting on Kodak Gold so far. I've shot with the Fuji GA645 for the travel stuff and street stuff, and then a little bit of portraiture as well, so I'll throw that up. And then in terms of most of the other portraiture, I've been shooting on the Mamiya RZ67, with both cameras, with both lenses. The film still renders beautifully. There's not a difference really in how the film has come out. I'll also add that I think pretty much all of the film that I've shot with Kodak Gold has been processed and scanned by the same lab, Come3 Lab in Ancoats in Manchester. So I'll link them in the description. They're a great lab. But yeah, so a little bit of consistency there throughout the scans. But all in all, I think Kodak Gold is a really versatile film stock. It's definitely my favourite colour film stock at the moment. I've never been a massive fan of portrait. Always thought it was a little bit too desaturated for me. It's not that I don't like it, but I wanted something a bit more vibrant, and that's where I fell in love with Lomography's colour negative 400 and 800. But as I said, I do think that Kodak Gold renders colours like better and more accurately than Lomography's colour negative, especially in the greens. The greens was something I wasn't a massive fan of with Lomo's film. But yeah, if you are looking for a really versatile film stock that's good in natural light, that's good to use with strobes, that's good for portraits, and that's good for travel and street photography, then I think Kodak Gold is the one to get. And as an added benefit, you can pick it up at the moment a little bit cheaper than portrait. I know that it's just like a couple of pounds, and not even that depending on where you're shopping, but in these times where film prices are hiking up, every penny really does count. But I've had a great time trying out Kodak Gold. If you want to do the same, I'm going to link it in the description so you know where to find it. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.